You know, there was a time in the video game business where any sort of valuable intellectual property would get some kind of video game tie-in. Maybe it was an upcoming Disney movie, maybe it was your favorite Cartoon Network show, or maybe it was something from MTV. Because folks, let's face it, transmedia is not just for kids. Adults can have some fun too. And that's why you had your big boy rapper games like Def Jam or 50 Cent Bulletproof. Would you believe that game actually sold quite well, enough to justify a sequel on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, a generation so well known for the easy and smooth transition developers and publishers faced? That's sarcasm, by the way, but this isn't. I love 50 Cent. I also love 90s and 2000s hip-hop, and I also love me some third-person shooters. So let's see how 50 Cent looks on that PS triple in this episode of PSR, a PlayStation retrospective. You have no idea how excited I am as a millennial that loves hip-hop. Love 50, but I got no clue as to how this game plays or what it's going to entail, so let's dive right in. Before the game begins, you get to choose your starter Pokemon. I don't know, it's like Sophie's Choice. The game begins with 50 Cent and G-Unit finishing the end of a tour in the Middle East. 50 drops the mic and walks off stage, and immediately gets a phone call informing him that the deposit did not go through and he's out $10 million. "Where is my money?" 50 Cent asked calmly.
What a surprise!
Where the fuck is my money?
I need a few days. See?
Anwar, the show promoter, says he needs a few days. This doesn't sit well with Curtis, and he presses Anwar further. Anwar says the money was stolen by men working for a gangster named Saeed Kamal. He then says he has a skull, and he goes to his safe to retrieve it. The skull belonged to Orda, the Scourge of Odessa. It was the head of his favorite wife, and he covered it in diamonds to keep by his bedside. Anwar offers this to 50 as collateral, and 50 agrees. As the crew drives off, 50 and Anwar talk about who runs the streets, and that around here, the gangsters own the entire city, and everything is for sale. 50 is also warned about the Harvester, and that if he crosses him, he'll be taken apart piece by piece. The Humvee is then forced to make a right, and we see someone just out of frame monitoring the vehicle. Then shots are fired, forcing the Humvee to crash. 50 Cent jumps off and gets into a shootout. Anwar tries to run off with the skull, but an unnamed woman leaps out and takes the skull from him. This is where we get to gameplay, and 50 Cent summarizes the entire plot of this game in just a few words.
Where'd she go? That bitch took my skull. Let's go.
Alright, let's do it. Oh man. In the opening area, you'll learn how to execute a counterkill, which is a basic QTE sequence not so cleverly disguised as melee combat. Shortly after, I found out the game also has collectathon elements. What's in here? Oh, hell yeah! That is just straight ice. Just straight bank. That felt more powerful than bolts from Ratchet and Clank. Collect all 5 posters on a... Ooh, posters, okay. Oh, nice! Collectibles, 1 of 5 posters. Gotta look out for those. Find and shoot targets to earn bonus points. So just shoot these targets. 1 of 5 targets. Why are there so many collectibles in 50 Cent Blood on the Sand? I was not expecting this many collectibles. That's gonna drive me up a wall.
One on the balcony, 50.
I shouldn't even want to find them, but I do. I actually want to find all of them. You'll also learn how to take cover, switch positions, or vault over obstacles in the next area. Yo, why is there so much fear in 50's eyes? He's looking like a bitch right now. Eventually, you link up with Anwar again, and he explains that the ambush was done by Kamal, and the woman who took the skull is Layla, Kamal's right hand. 50 then says he needs guns, so Anwar tells him about a local gun dealer named Raul. Anwar gives 50 a radio and waits for him to leave before giving the "I'm in cahoots with the villain" grin to the camera. On the way to Raul, I was looking through the control scheme and realized I missed a vital gameplay mechanic. Click to taunt. Ooh, I've got taunts. That's a taunt.
You going down, son. Bitch.
Bitch! I also make sure to use the Gangsta Fire mechanic, which is basically John Woo's slow motion technique, except this is Gangsta. Eventually, 50 meets up with Raul, and he gives you his card, and says you can call him for any weapons you need, and he also gives you some advice.
Trust no one.
50 calls Anwar, and Anwar says he's at the Lotus Strip Club, which is owned by a man named Yazid. He says to meet him there, and 50 heads out to the next level. Before proceeding, let's provide some background on the developer, Swordfish Studios. Swordfish, located in Birmingham, England, was founded in 2002 by Rage Games Limited members Trevor Williams and Jean Finnegan. Her husband, Paul Finnegan, was the founder of Rage back in 1992. At the time, they were called Rage Software, and they were an independent studio picking up work from various different publishers working on licensed IP like Rocky, new IP like Gunmetal, racing games like GTC Africa. They were all over the place for years until 2002, when Swordfish was set up as a sister studio. Rage was then sold to Swordfish for £1, and the studio went into liquidation at the start of 2003. A lot of the staff now moving over to Swordfish. The studio then got its start with rugby and cricket games, then pivoting to an FPS with Cold Winter on PlayStation 2 with publisher Vivendi Universal. This relationship stuck as Swordfish was looking for its next project, and Vivendi had the license for a proposed video game tie-in for Covert 1, a series of novels from Robert Ludlum. At the time, a TV series was on the way, and Swordfish landed the video game deal. Work began for nearly a year until early 2007, where the TV show, and now the game, were cancelled. Vivendi still had the license for 50 Cent, previously shipping Bulletproof with Genuine Games, and despite the title's poor reception, it did turn a profit. So Vivendi then proposed a sequel to Swordfish. Production director Ian Flatt, at the time speaking with Edge in 2017, said, and I quote, "When we first heard, our jaws were on the floor. It was bizarre. We were an all-Caucasian group of Brummies. We never thought we'd get picked to do something like this." But Swordfish carried on, having to salvage what was already built from Covert 1. Mechanically, the movement, aiming, and shooting could be carried over, but everything else had to be reworked or lightened up. 50 Cent himself, not only providing exclusive music to the game, was also close to the development process. Swordfish would provide larger milestone builds to Vivendi, and they would get that to 50 for playtesting so he could provide feedback. One session, 50 had his son play the game, and his son wanted helicopters, which Swordfish was not really equipped to do, but were able to stitch something together. Towards the end of the development cycle in July 2008, Vivendi completed its merger with Activision, and the resulting leadership pulled out of publishing. So for a short window, Swordfish had to wrap up the project for free, all the while negotiating a deal to sell off the Manchester studio to Monumental Games and the Birmingham studio to Codemasters. Eventually, Swordfish was able to secure a publishing deal with THQ, and so the company was then sold off in November 2008. The game launched in February 2009, and then rebranded to Codemasters Birmingham. A lot of the staff did move over, or they found new work, but founder Trevor Williams would eventually leave Codemasters in October 2009 to establish Playground Games, now known for the wildly successful Forza Horizon series. Now, getting back to my playthrough, as 50 makes his way to the strip club, you come across your first payphone. This is where you can spend your hard-earned paper and buy new weapons, counterkills, and even taunts. Muay Thai move? Does 50 know Muay Thai? A brutal move from the streets. Oh, just stab him off. A couple of left hooks bring your foe to his knees, finishing with a deadly stab to the chest. A fierce kendo-inspired move. I don't know if the real 50 Cent can do all these things, can he? A lethal blend of taekwondo and boxing. As one does. What else can 50 do? Serial killer. Straight from a modern form of kendo. A brutal uppercut. Why would I need these, though? You really don't. The counter kills are just cosmetic, as they'll always kill the enemy as long as you do the QTE correctly, but some of the later ones can look very over the top, and quite frankly, amazing. After a number of shootouts, 50 arrives at Yazid's strip club, but he will not be distracted from the mission at hand.
Where's your boss, bitch?
It turns out Yazid is a big fan of 50 Cent, and he was there at the concert last night and claims to be 50's #1 fan. and it also turns out that Saeed Kamal double-crossed Yazid as well, so 50 asks where he is, and Yazid says he's holed up inside a mall that serves as a drug distribution center. He also says a shipment of alcohol is going there today, so the next level you're driving in the convoy to Kamal, but you find resistance from local mercenaries, so you have to shoot your way through everything. Now's a good time to point out that the game was designed with co-op in mind, so for single player, you're driving during this mission, but if someone were to be playing with you, they'd be handling the shooting. Why did that happen? I love how we had to, give this some sort of cinematic feel, but there was no reason for an explosion to take place when I hit that very innocuous in the middle of the road ramp. It's just so stupid and silly. I love it, 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. Once you reach Kamal's, 50 is advised he should find a back way in to avoid heavy security, so you continue on foot and get into more shootout arenas. A lot more shootout arenas, which this is a good time to highlight that every level grades you based on your score. And the game does have a number of score multipliers you can leverage to reach the higher medals. Usually you can achieve this by stringing together kills quickly, which was fun to chase throughout the game. You'll also notice that there's many time-based objectives throughout the levels you can go for that can grant additional points as well. When 50 catches up with Kamal, he sees him getting frustrated that his men haven't caught the American yet, then a helicopter lands with Layla exiting, giving Kamal the Diamond Skull. They both take off in the helicopter, so Anwar suggests checking the other building across the road since they probably went there. On your way to the other building, 50 requested backup from Anwar, and once that backup arrives, they're actually the same mercenaries that were attacking you during the alcohol convoy. They're called Trident, and 50 is suspicious of them and Anwar right away. Eventually you reach Kamal, but he's already escaping by helicopter. Dude, this is like the same courtyard I was just at. What is going on? This is the same shit for the past 2 hours. As 50 leaves the courtyard, he's surrounded by Trident mercenaries and forced into the back of a van where he meets Derek Carter. He leads the security contractors that Anwar sent, and he's demanding payment for saving 50.
We just saved your black ass. Now, help me, and I'll consider our debt paid.
Carter says a shipment of gold bullion is moving through the city, and Kamal is planning to steal it. But Carter wants you to help him get there first, which will then lead to getting Kamal. The gold is worth about $4 million, and 50 wants half of that, so he stays hustling on this side quest. The next round of levels has you fighting through Kamal's men and destroying their comms, up until you reconvene with Derek again and await the shipment of gold. Carter detonates a bomb on the bridge to secure the gold, and then refuses to pay 50 his half of the job, because in this city,
trust no one.
50 Cent would know better. I mean, let's really think about this. I don't know if the real 50 Cent would do that. 50 then fights his way through some Trident NPCs on the bridge until Carter decides to fly back and initiate the game's first boss fight, which is unsurprisingly the helicopter versus man with an RPG scenario. Once 50 takes down the helicopter, he approaches Carter, who is conveniently on his last dying breath near the wreckage, and he tells 50 that Kamal is in the old theater at the old plaza. Then he kills Carter, execution style. Immediately after, we get a scene showing Raul talking to the very alive pilot of the helicopter, and Raul offers the pilot a job. After that, 50 begins working his way towards the theater, and it's at this point where the game's performance issues are getting worse and worse. Oh, this is really impeding the gameplay. Boy, this game does not run well. Like many other PlayStation 3 games, nothing surprising about it. Oh, Jesus Christ. This frame rate. Wow, the game's really starting to buckle a lot more often now. I mean, what is going on?
We popped up by Kamal's place, going in on foot.
Remember, this is a big part of Kamal's heroin operation. He wouldn't have left it lightly guarded.
50 Cent blood on the textures. Man, them bitches took their sweet time loading in. Once you reach the outside of the theater, 50 calls in a favor from Yazid, and he asks him to send over some girls to distract the guards, which Yazid reluctantly agrees to. The girls then show up in a party bus and lure the men away, even though the bus immediately blows up just as they're walking away. but that creates an entry point for 50. An entry point you don't even use because the front door opens up anyway once you fight your way through the courtyard. Also, the explosion from earlier means the fire has now spread into the building, so now the whole place is going down. Once 50 reaches the theater, he sees Kamal yelling at Layla for seemingly no reason, and then they run away and you continue fighting through the theater. Once you reach the roof, Kamal throws Layla off the escape ladder, so naturally you whip out your RPG for another textbook man versus helicopter boss fight. Once you successfully shoot it down and stare at your hard-earned revenge, Raul shows up for extraction. 50 gives Layla the nod, and they both run into the chopper before the building completely collapses. 50, however, has not forgotten the mission at hand.
Where's my skull?
Fuck you.
Layla says she had to give the skull back to Wilder because he has her family and he owns her. So if 50 wants to get the skull back, he has to get her family out. Wilder at this point being a big crime boss for the area. So the next level immediately jumps into exotic gameplay where you man a minigun and start firing at Wilder's enemy compounds while flying to the mountain citadel. Once you do that, Layla says you have to go on foot to take out one last anti-aircraft battery, and this is how she convinces you to do that.
Looks like I'm in charge.
Crazy bitch, you know?
What?
That's my kind of girl.
How does that even happen?
Good luck.
How does that even... What? That was just so stupid. That was so ridiculous. After you knock that out, Layla comes through and blows out a wall in the Citadel, letting you work your way through town, getting into shootout after shootout with Wilder's men. Now is a good time to also mention another aspect of the journey I've really enjoyed so far, which is the humor.
As Eddie often likes to say, you can find him in the club.
Oh, that's real nice. Where the fuck is it?
So you can get...
Eat this, pussy. What the fuck is that smell?
Shit happens, Bill. These walls are hundreds of years old.
What you know about that?
Napoleonic, if I'm correct.
What?
This game could lean more into the humor, and I'd probably be a lot happier with it.
Now it is mine also.
Just give me the fucking skull, Kamal, and I'll leave you to play in this piece of shit sandbox you call a city.
Yeah, I don't think he heard you, 50.
Don't matter. I was gonna kill him anyway.
There's a phone, 50. You gonna call Raul? How's he gonna deliver here?
Who cares? I'm making a call.
How's he gonna deliver here? Who cares? It's a video game. Eventually, you fight your way inside Wilder's crib, get into more shootouts in the foyer, and then find your skull in a deeper chamber of the house. As 50 begins making his exit, he finds himself cornered by Wilder's men and Anwar himself. A shocking reveal, truly, one that nobody could have anticipated. Anwar takes the skull, and then Wilder confronts 50, letting him know that he's a businessman. He then takes the skull from Anwar and says if he wants it, he has to do what Kamal couldn't. Kill 50. So an epic boss battle begins. Well, that was quick.
Stupid asshole, he ain't stand a chance.
Well, with that out of the way, now we have to deal with Wilder. 50 makes radio contact with Layla and lets her know what went down. She then says she's on her way, but DJ Hookid asks a very sensible question. Is she still on the up and up? No, she's not. Once you make it to Wilder on the roof, he gets on a call with Layla and says he was just tying up that loose end right now. He even hands over the phone for a brief moment so 50 can hear the betrayal firsthand.
You fucking bitch.
Oh, don't take it so bad.
And it turns out Layla is also double-crossing Wilder here, which sends Wilder into a rage. He shoots 50 right in the chest and makes his goons finish the job. But 50 Cent is bulletproof, so he grabs his gun and shoots back. Besides, who else is going to wrap up this game's third and final man versus helicopter fight? No one, that's who. 50 shoots off some RPGs and kills Wilder. So now he can focus on chasing down Layla with the skull in this final driving sequence where you're running low on fuel because your tank was hit. So you need to reach Layla before the gauge is empty. And once you're close enough, you blow up her truck and finally take the skull back. Layla makes one last-ditch effort for forgiveness, but that doesn't seem to work. 50 Cent drives off into the sunset, now satisfied with his payment from his tour. Oh, Daddy, who heard about me? Overall, though, not a bad game. I mean, it's like... it's bad in the sense that, like, mechanically, performance-wise, it's also silly. It's a dumb narrative. It's about 50 Cent, but it's just, like, mindless fun, especially in the context of it being a co-op game. So if you could have played with somebody else back then, that would have been helpful. But, I mean, on its own, and especially if you're into hip-hop and you like 50 Cent, then yeah, there's something here. It's ridiculous, though. And my God, is the performance hot trash. If you enjoyed this episode of PSR, a PlayStation Retrospective, consider supporting the channel and more episodes with a YouTube channel membership or over on Patreon. You'll get access to deleted scenes from this episode and the back catalog of other deleted scenes and quarterly Q&As. We don't run any sponsorships or paid advertisements on this channel, and I would love to keep it that way. So any support helps and is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. You take it easy.